WGSN-DB Solo Network is excited to have you join Getting Started.LIFE with hosts Douglas Katz and Marya Carey Pleasant. I don't know where to start. We've all heard it and have probably said it once or twice ourselves. Getting started is a common barrier to trying new things, reinventing yourself, living life fully, and even finding joy and fulfillment. In reality, all things have a start point and the best way to begin. Getting Started.LIFE is about taking that first step. It's about jumping into a new endeavor and the do's and don'ts involved. Our goal is to help everyone meet their full potential and start doing. So let's get started with Doug and Marya. So this week's show, or every other week. So this show is about getting started. So you want to get started shooting. And it's an interesting topic. I get a lot of questions about it because I'm in my room right here in my house that's dedicated to that because it's a hobby of mine. But we're lucky to have Rick Darouse, owner of Alexandar Firearms, join us. Before I introduce Rick and let him talk about himself a little bit, I wanted to throw some statistics out there because I did have some friends when I posted like what the topic was. They were like, shooting. It's like a topic that, third rail, people talk about it different ways. But I found an old NPR article and that there was a 20% growth in 2020 in gun ownership. And from March 2020 to March 2021, background checks with the FBI went up from 3.7 million to 4.7 million. They did quote a couple of other gun store owners that said between 20 and 60% are first-time gun owners, which to me means probably the 20 to 60 is a variable about where they live. But I think a lot of people are curious about it. I got a lot of calls when COVID happened, so people start from a lot of reasons, from self-defense to sport shooting, because I think that gets left out sometimes. So we're lucky to have Rick Darouse. I go back way with him. We're classmates, 1993 from West Point. But Rick also is the owner of Alexandar Firearms, and I really wanted to have an expert on to talk about the 5 things to do if you want to start shooting and the worst mistake, which is what we do every show. But I wanted Rick to introduce himself a little bit. Rick, how'd you get into shooting?
I bought my first handgun in 2000. Really, being in the Army, we shot our ARs.
Yeah.
But I got into handguns, and they were so much different than the rifles and the shotguns I was used to. It's a whole other skill set, and I've got some sort of personality disorder, I guess. I have to spend hours trying to perfect my craft. I tried it with golf. I wasn't successful in many other things, but I really, I caught fire with these handguns. And back in, 2010, I started a firearms business, a side business. I did have a shop though at one point in time. So, I was 30 years old before I got my first handgun, but I fell in love with it,
Maybe I should be a guest. I think I bought one before you.
You might have, probably so.
Right now, it's inventory, right? That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get inventory. I haven't been able to get inventory in 2 years for my distributors. They're still out there. I'm just not on the important list. These salesmen now at these distributors, they have people they can call and they'll just buy all the guns they have that day. So why not just call those guys first?
Right. So obviously it's a passion of yours. So someone calls you up and says, "Hey, Rick, you're an expert, ex-military guy. You own a store in it. What's the first thing they should do?"
Well, I get this every time I do a gun show. There's always, I've always got 5 or 6 guns still, and I always come up with new people that don't know anything about guns. The first thing I go over with them is safety, and I was going to say that.
Yep.
The NRA has your 3 rules of safety that you need to follow, but more importantly to that, if you're a first-time gun owner, you are entering into a different lifestyle, and or do you have kids at the house? Do you have a lot of people that come visit? Where are you going to store your gun?
Right there, man. That you're buying more than the gun. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Guys both have kind of bought guns before, have a little bit more into this. As someone who doesn't own a gun, I'm even going more rudimentary, like in the beginning, like, let's just say I want to start shooting. Do I go to a range and like try out different guns first? Do I go to a gun show? Do I go to Dick's Sporting Goods? Like, where do I even start? Do I go down the internet rabbit hole of all the different types of guns?
Well, but believe it or not, I will interview a lady like you every gun show, a new female gun owner. And I hate to differentiate between females and males, but in gun ownership,
We're
it
different.
is so huge. For females, 9 times out of 10, it's always that grip, how it feels in their hands. Because women's hands, believe it or not, I don't know if it's a biological fact, but their hands are just different than ours. Mm-hmm. You can see a little grandma that might be this tall, but she might have big meat hook hands. And you can see a little, a 6-foot basketball player, she might have tiny, tiny hands.
Yep.
So, I mean, what I tell people when I'm at a gun show, and I say, go and pick up every gun in this place.
Okay.
Gun shows are better because there's just so much more of them there than a store or at a gun range. And so I would pick them up because a lady is not, you pick up a gun and she just knows if she likes it or not. And it's all about the grip. It doesn't matter if it's pink or teal or whatever, or black. It's always the grip. So gonna go gun show, pick them all up, figure out which ones you really want to try, then go to a gun range and rent it for the day.
Okay.
But, I want to interject because I think, Rick kind of flip-flopped on that. Like when he brought it up, not a bad flip-flop, but I still think, like, if you walk into a gun store and you pick up a gun and have no idea about safety, the 3 things that, and I'm going to have Rick talk about those, the 3 things that the key things you're supposed to do when picking up a firearm, or the considerations. If you don't even have that context, you want to see people freak out, go to a gun show or a gun store and pick up a gun and do something that you may not think would be an issue, but people will freak out. And so it's an important thing. And I think knowing
like etiquette almost.
What? I'm sorry, say again? Like
etiquette almost?
Yeah. Rick, why don't you take that?
Well, you got to remember, I do gun shows in Texas and Louisiana. So we're pretty, most of us are really loosey-goosey. Yeah, pick up the guns. We want you to try it, especially for new females. I mean, that is the holy grail. A female that's buying her first gun. We love that for more reasons than one. So that's why I said you need to pick up and hold and figure out how that grip is in your hand. And these guns are tied. They're at the table. Yeah, of course. Doug's right. Ask the gun seller, you mind if I pick these up? And they're going to, if it's a woman, oh yeah, man, pick them all up. That's right, wonderful.
But to always treat it like it's loaded.
Oh yeah, you always keep it in a safe, pointed in a safe direction.
Around pointing at people.
Yeah, don't do that, and keep your finger off the trigger, and but yeah, some of them will get you at the gun show, but we're so used to guns are tied at the gun show. Doug's right. We probably need to re-educate ourselves in etiquette, but we get really comfortable with a tied gun.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have finger off the trigger.
Keep your booger hook off the bank button.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought that though. When you're talking about how does it feel, that's where my hand would have gone to see how it feels. I wouldn't have thought to keep my hand off the trigger.
Well, but you could put it on once it's in a safe direction, as an example. So there's a lot of steps, and I think that people jump to buying right away instead of going, okay, what's involved with this, right? They go, I'm going to go to a gun store or go to a gun show or whatever. I mean, shit, you can buy them online now. But, and have no idea like what's involved with it. And I'm a big believer there's no such thing as accidental. It's all negligent because you need to know the rules. So I think again, being a gun, I would agree with what your first step is know what you're doing before you even touch it. And demystify it through understanding that safety. And I'm sure there have been plenty of times where you've been like, whoa, put it down a minute. Let's talk about how this goes, right?
Yeah, I've seen, people brought in loaded guns before. I've heard a gun or two go off at gun shows. But you see, Texas is weird too, because in this city, in Pasadena, which is a suburb of Houston, they, by law, let people come in with loaded guns if they got a concealed carry permit, which is ludicrous to me. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, I've had people hand me guns. Hey, look at my gun, and it's loaded. Well, once it's loaded, I'll escort him to the police officer.
So let me ask you a question. Going back to 1, because I want to jump to 2 in terms of what you were talking about with the fit and finish and touching them, is everywhere's different, right? You're talking about Texas. I'm in Illinois, right? People say Illinois is crazy. All the laws we have are crazy.
Yeah, we say that a lot. Yeah.
But you can go touch and come with somebody to shoot a gun or something, but you're not buying. I had people call me during COVID. Hey, I want to get a gun. There's civil unrest. What do I do? I said, you got to wait probably a year at this point to get your FOID card. So
yeah, I don't know what that is.
Right. So I think it brings up part of that first step. What I would add to probably what you said is know what your local laws and requirements and things like that are before you do this.
Sure. That's all about safety. Yeah.
Yep. Because you better make sure that you can even buy it. You might go there and be all happy and want to buy it. Then, right now they're so backed up that I know at least for concealed carry holders in Illinois, they're just like, you're fine unless you commit a felony or something, you're fine until we can actually process it. If you can prove you put in the paperwork. So there's a lot of laws around the country that are very different from place to place. So then 2, it sounds like you're saying, get an idea what's out there.
Number 2, I would say purpose. What is the purpose of this gun going to be? Is it going to be for carry? Is it going to be by, your nightstand gun? Is it going to be something you put under the bed? Is it going to be something you put in your car? Mm-hmm. Why do you want it? Do you just want to go sport shooting, or do you want to have it for personal protection? And then it kind of like fishbone diagrams off the purpose.
Right. What would you say is the main purpose that you see these days when people are going in and buying guns?
Protect themselves.
So it's self-protection.
Self-protection, usually carry.
Okay.
If you're even narrowing that down even more, like protection, but where are you going to keep it? Like, what are the logistics of where are you going to have this to protect yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Are you going to have it on your person, or in your car, or on your purse, or in your pocket, which I hate pocket. How are you going to carry it? But that's been the number one thing I've seen.
So when someone comes to you and asks you, hey, I'm going to go get a gun, Rick, and you're like, all right, why are you getting it?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you getting it? What do you want to do with it?
Those answers, though, have you ever not sold a gun to somebody because you're like, oh, that's probably not like a good, or you don't think they're ready because their reasoning isn't right?
No, the ATF gives me full right to say no to somebody for whatever reason. Probably the only profession in the country where I can say, no, I don't like you because of the way you look. I'm not selling you a gun.
Right.
But no, I haven't had any of that. I hate when guys tell me I need a gun for my pocket. I said, please don't put it in your pocket. Well, that's the way I like it. I'll still sell them a gun.
Yeah, I do that with mortgages, man. I tell them that's not the right program, and they buy it. I have to by law. But what advice would you give to someone who's listening to this? Now we're on the rebroadcast. What advice would you give for them to actually figure out why they want to buy it? Because they may think they know why, and maybe find out that they don't really want to buy one.
Yeah, that happens all the time. First of all, what I didn't understand here's a mistake. We're here to talk about mistakes too. A mistake I had as a gun shop owner, I had all these guns 2 years ago, right before COVID, that I couldn't sell. And I didn't know that they were the equivalent of gold and silver, which they are. They are, guys. There's the same value, they're equivalent to stacking gold and silver. So, number one, if one day they want to get rid of it, there's 1,000 options. They can go to a gun show and sell it to a guy like me, probably at a discount because I got to make money, or they can trade it. So you're never going to be without.
There's classifieds because I've bought and sold them in Illinois, actually, because you get the FOID card. Everybody who owns firearms in Illinois, you can tell who is legally able to have them, and you can actually sell on the secondary market, which is actually a good place to find stuff. But yeah, no, sure. I totally hear you there.
Yeah. So,
I never lost money on one.
Yeah.
So and I'm assuming that if I have these questions, other newbies have them. You guys are much more versed on this. I'm kind of not. I guess I always kind of thought that gun shows, I could be dead wrong, but I guess I am wrong. I thought they were kind of like, how guys, when they have their like old cars or whatever, they all get together in a parking lot and like look at each other's cars and ooh and ah and like do whatever. Like I kind of thought that's what gun shows were. I didn't realize maybe that it's
like a flea market for guns.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that. Or if I did, I kind of thought that it was more vintage or more like...
it's everything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's everything. I mean, there's several, vendors that will sell just new guns. There's several that will have these crazy $5,000 to $10,000 1970s Colts that are all gold and pretty. But yeah, this is a mismatch. Doug's right. it's pretty much a flea market. And now now they're smart. Now they're smart and they're catering to a lot of women. So there's a lot of jewelry and things that might interest ladies there too. Well, they come with their husbands, right?
Yeah.
So
I've been
there's
saying for a long time that Menards should have a bar where all the ladies can just go sit and have a cocktail, and they would get way more business from the women coming in. But
we can't have liquor.
I know.
I wish we could.
It's a juice bar. So okay, so no, I like that. So 1, safety, rules, laws, know all that. 2, why are you doing it? Which totally makes sense, right? Then 3, what's the third thing you're telling people?
Well, then you see, the way I look at it is your purpose is going to be your driver. Okay, once you tell me your purpose, then we're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 after that. Like, for example, if someone comes to me and says, I want a gun I can carry in my purse. Okay, the next thing I would say would be to get the highest caliber and the biggest gun that you feel comfortable with. Number 1, shooting. Number 2, carrying in your purse. But then if you're going to carry it in your purse, there's a whole other lineage of things you need to think about. Like, don't leave your purse unattended, even at Walmart in the shopping cart, because some kid,
especially at Walmart in the shopping cart.
Well, some kid shot his mama because she left her purse unattended. You keep your purse here. Put a special place in your purse. They have concealed carry purses where they have a holster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure it's not just in there. Make sure you got a specific spot that holds that gun in there. So if you're walking somewhere and really need it, you know where it is. It's not like looking for mascara.
Well, what if somebody's on the fence and they're saying, I went and rented one, kind of what you had said to do, and I like it, and I might want to do it as a hobby, but I also would like to do it, from a protection perspective. What advice would you give those people?
I would, whatever you like shooting as a hobby best, because that's the gun you're more comfortable with. Okay. If you ever need it in a situation, you've got the gun that you're most comfortable with. I've trained a lot of new shooters, especially new lady shooters. And I always train them on the HK VP9. It's a bigger gun. Then they all, I want a little bitty Smith & Wesson Lady Smith. No, just train on the big gun first. And they love it because, a lot of people think they want these little bitty guns, they're just going to like it better. But once they get to the range, especially the hammerless revolvers, every woman brings a hammerless revolver back to me because the trigger pull is too heavy.
Right. And the short barrel's hard to aim.
And the short barrels, of course, it's hard to aim. But that would be my advice on that. Get the biggest, highest caliber you feel comfortable with carrying, whatever way you want to carry it.
3. That's 3. But I got a question on 3. I'm sorry, I'm so stepping on you there, Mariah. No, you go ahead first.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, even before 3. So again, I'm newer at this, and you guys are using a lingo that you're very comfortable with. And how do I find someone to kind of guide me down this purchase without feeling like it's a salesy right? So I don't want someone to sell me a gun. I want someone to consult with me and help me figure out. If I were to come and buy a gun, I'll tell you straight up, it would be because my husband wants me to. I have a conceal and carry card. I don't have a gun. I got that because he wanted me to. But I'm too intimidated to go and buy a gun because there's just too many options and I don't even know what I want, kind of like what you were saying. And if I don't know that, how do I proceed?
Again, I hate to keep bringing up the gun shows, I guess because I work so many of them and I know so many of the people that work there.
Okay.
I know me and probably 3 or 4 other vendors in there that would love to meet a person like you.
Okay.
To help. I've done it several times with people. I mean, I've even met them at the range.
Okay.
It's a sense of enjoyment for me, but not a lot of people do that. So, I mean, you can go to training if you want. The way I like to do is I like to go to the gun range and find somebody with gray hair that preferably has a Vietnam veteran hat on. Okay. That might look a little standoffish at first. But those guys they eat that stuff up. Somebody comes to them and says, can you show me a little bit about this and all that? They'll stay with you all day.
Okay.
Is that bad? No, that's a good thing. I said, I was wondering if I was being demographic or something. But that's why I keep bringing up gun shows. Like this academies and all that. They're there to sell you a gun. If you meet the right person at a gun show, they're really interested in trying to educate you. Some of them not.
Academy is a big gun dealer, big gun store.
Okay, so Academy's up there too.
No. You had said Academy is just trying to sell you guns, so I want to clarify for the.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
No, I love that. I wouldn't have thought I would not have thought gun show as a place to learn and.
It's just a bunch of bubbas like me up there,
Gun guys love to talk about guns.
Oh, and we love new shooters. We love. Oh man, let me show you this.
But the caveat there, and I don't want this wouldn't be the mistake. You got your own, but I'm thinking it's listening too much to people who are overly opinionated. I tell people to stay away from forums because everybody's got this one that they love. Like this is the best, and everything else is crap. And I say. Get what you like when people ask me, but go to LinkedIn or Facebook, find out who you know who shoots.
I would also give a plug to sigtalk.com. Of all the forums I've ever been a part of, they have the most professional, meaning there's some really good guys in there that really will give solid advice. Now they're biased towards SIG, but that's okay. But let me bring up another purpose, Doug. Say somebody tells me they want to keep it in their car. Well, down here they say truck, but if somebody wants to keep it in their car, that's a whole other different level because I'm telling them it's going to get stolen. So buy a Taurus or a High Point, and keep it in your truck.
Yep. Now wait, we got to go to break. Real quick, we're going to go to break, and then we'll finish up number 3, and then we'll cover 4 and 5 and cover the mistake. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're back, and you are listening to Getting Started.Life with Doug Katz and Marya Carey Pleasant on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network with our guest, again, Rick Darouse from Alexandar Firearms. So have we exhausted 3? What do you think on 3? It sounds like basically what are you going to be doing with it and where are you going to be putting it?
And where are you going to be putting it? Then you have your budget.
Okay, so number 4 is how much you're spending, maybe.
I would think, because then you want to talk about, on down the road, the cost of .45 ammunition versus 9mm.
Well, wait, before we go to the ammunition question, because a lot of people don't. I know, but what is it going to cost? Like, if somebody's looking for a nice, dependable, reliable gun to do what they're looking to do.
A year and a half ago or today?
Today.
Well, I guess both, right? Because you gotta argue it's eventually going to move toward the mean, but also the primary versus secondary market. Like, what would they look to be spending?
Okay, well, first, I'd like to start off by first saying, if you want to buy a new gun, just wait 6 months. They're going to come back down.
Okay.
I mean, they were selling Glocks down here for $850 a piece just 3 weeks ago, and this weekend they were back around 500 or something. This is a gun I was selling for $450 to $500 3 years ago. So every gun right now is inflated, and all of us guys know we can put whatever we want to on the price and sell it. And it's a big joke to us. But the way we got hammered 4 years ago, it's, we just think we're just making our money that we lost back then. But yeah, I mean, your budget goes not just on, your gun purchase. Okay. Yeah. To answer your question, sorry. Probably between $500 and $800 can get you into a Glock nowadays. If you wait 6 months, minus 50 on that. These are the little Ladysmith revolvers. They generally hang around in that $500 to $600 range because they're nicer. But then again, you can get a Charter Arms Ladysmith lookalike for $300.
Right. But I think people don't know, and they go in and they get sticker shock sometimes.
Yeah.
I went down that rabbit hole probably about a year ago when I was looking, when I told my husband I would look, and it was probably that $500 to $700 range. But here's my question. I'm an Amazon girl, right? Like despite being female, I don't like to go shopping. I get everything online. How do online prices compare to like a gun show, to what's the big gun store that you said?
Well, Academy down here in Cabela's. Well, you got gunbroker.com where you can buy new and used guns on it. Yeah. And, sometimes their prices are way below mine. Sometimes
you got to watch out for scams.
Well, there's scams, and then there's all these hidden fees, shipping and handling for $45. And then you got to send it to a FFL in your area. Like if Doug lived in Texas, he could just send it to my office, just like a couple other classmates.
Well, I believe it or not, I at least could get the old stuff. I got my Curio license, so I can buy the old stuff. That's actually as old as me, 1970. Cool. If it's 1970 or
right.
before.
What's an FFL?
Federal Firearms License.
Ah.
That's from the ATF.
No, but the interesting thing, Mariah, is if you're in Illinois, let's say you wanted to buy a gun in Illinois, and you knew a private seller, then you don't have to go to an FFL if you've got your FOID card. So a lot of people who've come to me, there are some websites that are basically classifieds, and you got to be careful. You got to, if you're going down that route and you're new, go with a buddy kind of thing online, and make sure that they're looking at the listing and it makes sense. Because if it's too good to be true, it is. Okay. But then you overcome shipping, tax, and the transfer. So there are a lot of ways to save money. And the secondary market, what do you think about the secondary market in terms of cost? Rick?
It depends. I mean, right now in the last 18 months, it's been insane. It's insane. People are making a lot of money off guns right now. You can also pick up some good buys if you're patient and, like Doug said, knows what you're looking at and know what's real and what's not. I would highly, if you want to buy online, that's fine, but at least know exactly what you want.
So that goes back to number 3.
Yeah.
Is go try a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's, guys, we're not as particular as women. You can put a gun in our hands, we'll shoot it. Hey.
Yeah, I'm actually a pretty particular guy, though. There's some things I've held that I'm just like, I don't like it. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, but if me and you were at the range and I had something you really didn't like, you'd still shoot it. I mean,
right, but I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it necessarily. I'd be like,
Can you negotiate at gun shows?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like buying a used car.
You can negotiate. You can trade. Sometimes we got wiggle room. Sometimes we don't. It just depends. You develop a relationship with the person, and I mean, I've give discounts for people that make me laugh. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, Doug, this weekend I gave $100 off on something because, I gave him 50, and he said, "Come on, man, I'm Jewish." I said, "Well, what does that have to do with anything?" I said, "Okay." He made me laugh. Okay.
There you go. He needed protection. He needed
Yeah.
down in Texas,
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
But my mom lives in Texas. We love Texas.
Yeah, I will say this though, but I don't want to forget. This is highly important. If you are a husband and you want to buy your wife something for Christmas, do not buy her a gun. Please don't buy her a gun, because you're going to be bringing it back because she's not going to like it.
Yep.
Got it.
Unless y'all went through this rabbit hole together and okay, this is what I want, honey.
Right.
And then buy it.
Right.
But every Christmas I got to take back all these guns from husbands.
So here's a question for you, because you did bring up something interesting before. We were just talking about the initial cost. So it's like golf, right? You buy golf clubs, you need a bag to put them in, you need a place to go hit golf balls, you need golf balls. When people are talking budget, they probably come in saying, "Here's how much I have to spend," and then you say, "Well, great. Now you need magazines. Now you need a holster. Now you need ammo," which you can't find right now either. What's the big budget typically someone be putting aside if they're learning to shoot?
Well, I mean, it depends on if you're a guy like me that goes to the range at least twice a month. If not, you can just buy you a box of bullets and be done with it. I mean, you have to budget. You have to worry about cleaning your weapon. Doug, do you know how many ARs I've cleaned this year for $175 a piece? Because
dude, I got rid of mine.
ARs.
I got rid of mine because I was cleaning. I would take people to the range, and it would get dirty, and I'd be sitting and cleaning it. And I remembered us sitting there cleaning ARs in the Army, and I'm like, why am I actually signing up to doing that? I got rid of the damn thing because I hated cleaning it.
I hate to clean it, but yeah, you got to clean your, so I mean, your budget it just depends on, we were buying 9mm ammunition for 22 cents a round. They're selling it now for $1 around here. So that's a big budget. And then you got to worry about your range fees. Unless you live out in the country, you can go. I got a lot of people that's got land. You can just go shoot anywhere you want on your land,
Right.
I used to have that.
Let's say someone's buying an entry level $400, $500 gun, let's say, in 9mm. What else? How much should they put away? So they've got $500 down to do that. Maybe a little bit more for tax and the transfer and all that. How much more should they be putting away? And in terms of putting the box of bullets, they obviously want to also be practicing now and again.
Yeah, you got to. You have to at least put 50 rounds through your gun so you know it a little bit.
Right.
Hopefully more than that,
Right.
And you're going on a regular basis. So you take your 50 rounds, and then you want to have you a box of hollow points too. So if you're carrying it or having it at the house for protection, you want to take your range ammunition out and put your hollow points in case, God forbid, you have to use it.
Right.
On someone. So you want to pay for a box of those. It's going to be a little expensive. For start out as a $400 gun, I would say probably expect to pay that much on accessories. You're going to buy a holster that you don't like, and you're going to throw that away and get a new holster, and you're going to go through 5 holsters before you decide how you want to carry the thing.
Right.
I did it. I've got a chest of drawer full of holsters, and I finally found one that works for me on everything, so I kept it. So I would say double, $400 guns, put another $400 away on accessories, and maybe
what, 100, 150 each year just on maintenance, cleaning it, shooting it.
You want to clean it after every
Sure.
time you shoot it. So, but that's just a bottle of oil. It's $50 maybe.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's 4. You're talking the budget. What about number 5?
Whew. I mean, number 5 is dang. That depends on everything else we've talking about. But I mean, I guess number 5 comes into, the holsters and the purses and, where are you going to keep it at the house? Do you want this in your life?
So the integration kind of, how are you integrating it into what you do?
Yeah. That's what I would say. Are you ready for this lifestyle change?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we touch on that and kind of double back to safety a little bit?
Yeah.
Which has always been what stops me from getting one is I just don't feel comfortable with a loaded gun sitting on my nightstand.
Well, good for
So-
you. That
Right?
Yeah.
So how do we, the joke, my husband has a finger safe and a handgun in a finger safe. And when he goes out of town, he puts it in my nightstand. I'm blind as a bat without my contacts. And in the moment, for me to actually remember the combination, get the finger safe open, and then load it, it's not going to happen. I'm going to chuck the finger safe at somebody and run on by is the best in terms of self-defense that's going to provide for me. How does someone integrate that in a way that kind of works? Or is it just practice or?
Well, you're different than 99% of the other people. I mean, you've actually walked this through in your head about what would happen if the husband's gone and you hear a rustling and you need to use something. Obviously, what's going on now is not going to work for you.
Right.
But you know this.
Yes.
And you don't like a loaded gun on your nightstand. I don't either. I put mine behind my bedpost on a little thing. Because I sleep hard now. I'm 51. You know, somebody might come in that I don't know about.
You wake up and your house is empty, right?
Yeah. But my gun's still there. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know how to answer your question. You answered. I think you answered the question yourself. Maybe you could put the gun in the in your nightstand in a drawer. Maybe take it out the safe. But I mean, if you're not comfortable,
there's kids in the house. That's what makes me uncomfortable, right? And you hear that one-off every year where someone is so safe and so careful with their guns. Sometimes it's law enforcement officers.
It's usually law enforcement.
And they follow all of the stuff they're supposed to follow, and still somehow, some way, the kid gets a hold of it and tragedy.
Yeah.
And
well, you know, if I could interject, because one thing I heard you say, Mariah, and I heard you touching on it, Rick, was practice, right? Like the only way it becomes a lifestyle is practice. And that's what we're talking about is getting started. And if all you do is get started and don't take it to the next level, then you're more dangerous with that than without it.
Oh, absolutely.
Your weapon can malfunction. There's a lot of things that you need to do to be familiar with it. And it's like anything else. Like I bought a motorcycle at one point. I'm like, this is great. And I rode it around. I sold it because I'm like, there's just more maintenance than I love the vehicle and I don't want to ride it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think people don't think that way and they put it in a drawer. And I think that's when all the challenges happen. I think there is an aspect of not becoming your total lifestyle, but it is an inexorable and indistinguishable part of your lifestyle if you're taking on that responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got several personal guns, right? Now, I've got some that aren't SIGs that I haven't shot in 2 years. So I should take those. And when I take those, if I took those guns I haven't shot in 2 years out to the range, I would pretty much have to re-educate myself on the manual of arms. You know, even if they're Glocks, I haven't fooled with a Glock.
No, and again, just so people understand, manual of arms is how that operates, right? They're all basically the same. A newbie could look at 4 or 5 different guns and go, they're the same. And they are basically, but they're not completely.
Right. Right. I mean, you got your own manual of arms, unless it's a revolver, but then even revolvers can have some nuances, you know, some got locks. Yeah. So
you know me, I'm a revolver guy. I know you're a wheel gun guy. I'm an anachronism. I actually wore the hat because I also think that there tends to be some you get pigeonholed, like people who people think they know what the average gun owner is. And I think the statistics say differently. But so number 5 is, it sounds like, and I'm going to recap these before we go to the mistake, because I'm dying to hear that, is number 1, know the laws, be safe, all that kind of stuff, right? Number 2, why you're buying it, right? Number 3, try a bunch of different ones. Number 4, know what your budget is and understand that it's not a one and done budget probably. And then number 5 is integrated in your lifestyle, right? Like know what the hell you're doing, kind of going back full circle number 1, but now you've touched it and stuff. So is that a pretty good summation? Yeah,
that's good advice. Solid for anyone first time gun owner looking to get in.
See, look at we're getting Mariah already now. She's gonna be like, Lou, we're going.
I don't know, because I'm also kind of cheap. Do I want to spend the money until I figure out the way to really integrate it into my life? Like, it's not going to provide the protection that he wants it to provide for me unless I'm comfortable using it, storing it, and all the stuff that you're talking about. So that's the part that I guess I would have to figure out.
Well, and that's right. I think that was if you really need it. Now, Rick, I'm waiting on this. What's the biggest mistake gun owners make? You did say what the husbands make. And I think I will say, though, if you have a gun owner in the family, Christmas is never a problem.
Well,
there's more crap that you can buy for gun owners. Maybe golfers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, there's more crap out there for gun owners.
Yeah.
And now the women, too. There's bras you can put guns in and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Corsets.
Yes. Yeah, no, there's all kind of stuff. So, but what's the big mistake? Not that the spouse or anyone else can make, that the person looking to, and I would say now, not even get into shooting, who wants to step into this lifestyle.
When you asked me mistake originally, I was thinking about my worst mistake. And I think it's worth talking about. It would be complacency. Briefly, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. There was one Thanksgiving I was alone, and I went to the gun range on one Thanksgiving. There was nobody there at Thanksgiving. So I went there at 7:00 in the morning, and it was like 6:00 in the evening when I left. But I got very complacent out there. I had all my guns out and I was shooting. But then I picked up this gun that I haven't shot in 2 years. It's like I said before. And it's got a 2-pound trigger on it. I forgot. So, I started shooting it, and it would just, every time I would just barely touch the trigger, it was like, boom, boom, boom. I thought it was broke. So I kind of like turned it over to look, and I still had my finger on the trigger, and I shot a hole in the roof. I could have shot my head off.
Yep.
Okay. So I was out there too long. I was out there all day. I was complacent. I didn't follow gun safety. But when that happens, I unloaded everything, packed my stuff up, and went home. I said, that's enough of the range today.
That's when you went to the bar.
Yeah, but when you mentioned police officers and stuff, yeah, these guys, when I was training people, they're the worst that I've seen in gun safety because they do it so much. They become complacent.
Yep.
So that was my number one mistake. And any time I can think about any other mistake, it has to do with complacency. Y'all might disagree on how I trained my son, but when my son was 3, I introduced him to firearms. My thought was he would be safe and he wouldn't be curious. And for me, that worked out well because now I know if he goes to somebody's house, he's 12 now. If he goes to somebody's house that's got a gun, and he knows what to do. Those kids probably don't.
Right.
Probably. I don't know.
Right. Well, I remember getting asked that question all the time, back when I lived in Oak Park, a lot of people, and just my kids are older now, but they would say, are there guns in the house? And I would often show pictures of the safe and let people know and say, come on by and see to make sure that we store things correctly and all that. But that's an interesting mistake because I think, what I thought you were going to talk about were like people listening to all sorts of other people's input on making the pricing decision, buying what they want, and listening to other, advice on that purchase decision. But I think that's a fantastic mistake is not really being willing to accept the lifestyle.
Yeah. And complacency. I would disagree with you. I listen to anybody. I like differences of opinion.
Well, but you're educated, right? So I don't know how many people I talked to that said, someone told me I should buy this. Like you talked about Glock. I hate Glock because I like a physical safety. And for the listeners, physical safety means I can put a lever down and that gun will be inert. It could not shoot. And that was what we shot in the Army. That's what I'm comfortable with. Everybody else thinks that they're John Wick out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff and that they're going to be fighting, 18,000 ninjas. And I'm like, you're probably never going to ever need that. And so, you might, but you're never. And if you're making decisions based on someone else's preference, you're not going to like it. As you said, there's a lot of other things, but I do like that mistake that you're talking about because I do think that people do get complacent. You hear about people doing the dumbest stuff. I mean, really, really stupid stuff where you're like, I couldn't even thought up how stupid that is. And I think it really ties well into what Mariah was talking about, where she's just not ready yet, which means don't get started in shooting unless it's a bow and arrow, maybe.
Or go to the range and rent a couple guns and enjoy the sport of it, but maybe don't purchase it and the responsibility that comes along with that.
Well, it is interesting
that's
when
good.
people go to the range. And Rick, have you seen when people go to the range, even anti-gun people will go to the range. They might not buy a gun, but they'll be like, I get it.
Oh yeah, and they'll
Like,
be
I get it
shooting
now.
these.
I get how fun it is. I'm not
They
going to
all,
buy one,
yeah.
but I understand where you're coming from at least. And I think that's like a big realization to people. But I think this is great advice. Our show's on the Going Solo Network, and it's a lot of people who are either not married or have gone through a divorce or something. And I think what we found in our practice is that safety is forefront. And I can't tell how many people say get a gun, and it's like, no, yes, maybe, but what does that mean? And we just even only touched on.
Yeah, we haven't even
defensive shooting, but sport shooting is a whole different ball. You got purists out there who do Old West shooting, where you have to shoot. You have to dress in costume and have a persona and shoot guns that are period, which is I thought kind of cool. I might try it someday, but it's a whole different ball game, a whole different subculture.
We could have a whole show on me and you debating safeties because I hate them.
I figured.
Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No. Listen, man, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I look at it and I say the safety prevents certain things with me for being complacent.
Yeah.
But
My biggest takeaway from this, and probably for maybe other people like me who are listening, is that the gun show is a good place to actually.
Yeah. Well, and here's the deal. Before we close, Rick, if somebody has more questions, wants to maybe purchase a gun through you, whatever. What do you think? How can they get hold of you?
Yeah, I've got I guess email's the best, huh? Should I write it down or something, or just?
Well, we could put it in when we share this. But,
okay.
You can shout it out if you want.
Yes, it's just Rick at Alexandar Firearms.com. And AR isn't Alexander with an AR though, because that's my son's middle name, Alexandar.
Okay.
Yeah.
We actually put the E in there so that you could highlight that for other people.
Yeah. Well, no, hell, even the ATF doesn't listen, so it's okay.
Well, I really want to thank you for joining us on today's show and thank everyone listening. And if we inspired you to get something started, then we did our job today. If there's something that you want to start, let us know. We'll find the expert. We know a lot of people like Rick out there who do a lot of great things. And I don't think any subject's off limits. I mean, there might be a couple, but not many subjects are off limit. Yeah. And if you got a passion for something that's changed your life and you want to help others get started, let us know. We'd love to have you on the show. You want to take us out, Mariah?
And always remember, in the immortal words of Mark Twain, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you did not do than by the ones that you did do. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, and explore, dream, and discover. You've been listening to Getting Started.Life with hosts Doug Katz and Marya Carey Pleasant on the WGSN-DB Solo Network, and we appreciate you listening.